Carson Wentz be a Week 1 starter in the National Football League next season? And if so, where?
I think the answer is yes, and I think it's going to be Indianapolis. It's one of the teams that does have cap space. It feels like they always have cap space, and obviously there's a connection between Wentz and Frank Reich. He was his offensive coordinator back when Wentz had that MVP caliber season that we all point back to that seems like so long ago back in 2017. So I could see them, considering the fact that Phillip Rivers is obviously, his career is coming to an end. There's not much left in the tank there, and he hasn't been a world beater. I could see them convincing themselves and having the room to bring Carson Wentz in and trying to rebuild what they did in Philadelphia out there in Indianapolis to pair with that really reliable defense.
Okay, I like that one a lot. Next, there are 6 head coaching vacancies in the National Football League as we speak. Which of those is the most attractive?
Yeah, I think right now I'm leaning towards the LA Chargers as being the most attractive. I think Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback, but we know the situation down there with drafting with draft picks available is a bit dire. But there is so much talent down there out there in Los Angeles, and Justin Herbert has shown more promise than we've seen out of a rookie quarterback since probably, Patrick Mahomes was in his second year, but since we've seen out of a guy like Dak Prescott, who was my favorite young rookie quarterback. So I think that that's an attractive job to go out there because you have defensive players. You may be getting Derwin James back to pair with Bosa and receivers on the outside. There are some holes on that roster. It's not perfect, but the cupboard is not nearly as bare. It's a 7-win team. Most of the other teams that you're looking at joining, they're looking at 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5 wins. This team has more talent than anybody else out there right now.
Right, hard to argue. It isn't the one I picked, but it is hard to argue with your logic. All right, finally, we got a lot of experienced, legendary quarterbacks in these playoffs. But which quarterback in this postseason is likeliest to win his first Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is the softball. I think it's easy. It's Josh Allen. He's the quarterback. You can include all the Super Bowl quarterbacks who've already won Super Bowls. He's the quarterback that's been playing the best the last month or so of the season. He has Stephon Diggs, who seems to be unguardable. And when you double or triple Stephon Diggs, he's got Cole Beasley working on the inside. And we forget how great a runner he is, athletic, big guy. As long as he doesn't make any major mistakes or try to do too much. I think that's what happens when things go wrong for Josh Allen, when the moment is really big and he thinks that he has to win the game on every single play. That's when things get messy. If he's been able to grow out of that in the way that he's grown into his accuracy and grown in so many other ways this season, I think this team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, not just compared to other quarterbacks who haven't already won a Super Bowl. He could win a Super Bowl over those guys who already have won one.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue. I'm just thinking through the other options here. Lamar Jackson is sort of the only other one that jumps to mind of the guys who have not yet won one. Okay, that's answered the question. Meanwhile, on to our next order of business, and that is this. It's big news. It's sneaky big news. Alabama coach Nick Saban told ESPN yesterday that star wide receiver Jalen Waddle has been cleared to practice this week and has a chance to play Monday against Ohio State in the national championship game. He hasn't played since he broke his ankle on October 24th. If they do get him back for this game, they will be getting one of the most explosive players in college football. In his 5 games this year, that's the number. He averaged over 22 yards a catch. That was best in the SEC, the 5th best overall. He's that kind of good. To give you an indication of how good he is, as we bring Desmond and RC into the conversation, at the time that he got hurt, Devontae Smith's name was not even listed amongst the candidates for the Heisman. He wasn't considered the best receiver on his own team. He won the Heisman Trophy last night. Des, you cover the sport for us. How good is Jalen Waddle, and how much of a difference could he make if he plays on Monday?
Greeny, before the season starts, we call them preseason predictions, right? We predict what's going to happen throughout the 2020 season. And I had to make a Heisman prediction. And my Heisman prediction was that Jalen Waddle would win the Heisman. That's what type of player he is. He's an outstanding talent. I mean, the guy is an excellent return man. You can move him all around in the offense. He's explosive. He's fast. I had the right position, but the wrong player. Now, I don't know if this man is really going to play in this game. Listen, there's a reason when a player gets concussed that they hide the helmet from him. The reason, Greeny, is because you have to protect us as players from ourselves, because our natural inclination is to always go out there and go back on the field and play. You may have to hide the cleats from Jalen Waddle because he just broke his ankle October 24th. I thought the target date for return would be maybe the combine. For him to be able to even practice at this point is ridiculous to me. I wouldn't risk it if I'm Jalen Waddle, but what it does is it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Ohio State's defensive coordinator, knowing this guy just might be playing. I tell you what, if you go out there Monday night and you see Jalen Waddle warming up, oh my God, their defensive coordinator and their secretary is going to be so nervous. You see that guy even just out there running routes and catching passes. So this puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Ohio State's defense, especially their coordinator and their secondary, if Waddle's able to play.
Is he better, RC, than his teammate who won the Heisman Trophy last night?
You know what? It's hard to say he's better after what you saw Devontae do. I think Devontae's probably a more complete receiver, but this dude is explosive. When you see Jalen Waddle get the ball, it's like King T'Challa on a fresh dose of that heart-shaped herb. You know what I mean? Like, he is more at a different speed from everybody else. He had 17 touchdown catches at Alabama. He's had 757 yards.